With insider Pierre LeBrun. Pierre, just days after it looked like the two sides were going to take a step back, take a breather, take the negotiations out of the media spotlight because things were getting a little bit tense, the Habs and Hutson's camp get together and they make it happen. How did it come together, Pierre?
Well, listen, I think a lot of the credit goes to the player himself, Lane Hutson, as it was described to me after this deal got announced. I mean, he wanted this done, and he was a major influence in the two sides, getting to a deal here. But certainly, you're right. I mean, listen, just over 2 weeks ago, the Canadiens made an 8-year offer to Hutson's camp. It was rejected. At the time, it was a deal that was in and around 72 million in cash, but it had some deferred money attached to it, which would bring the AAV down. Either way, it was rejected, and that led to a bit of a period, Gino, that I would say where the temperature rose in this negotiation. But again, credit the player here, who I think did not want this to be a distraction to his team throughout the year and have this wait until next summer. His influence in getting this done was huge, and obviously credit the Habs because Ken Hughes and Jeff Gordon, they stuck to their guns. They weren't going to be influenced by other contracts that were out there to the degree of paying something they felt was not part of their cap culture. They've got a lot of core guys signed long-term now to decent numbers. They want to be competitive long-term. And Lane Hutson absolutely bought into what Habs management was selling there as far as wanting to help the team be as competitive as possible long-term.
Pierre, I get the fact that it's big money, but it certainly seems to be a team-friendly contract. Hutson's deal is going to pay him less than Luke Hughes and Jackson Lacombe, who just signed their new deals. Hutson's younger, but he did win the Calder last season. Are you surprised at where he falls amongst those three with an 8.85 AAV?
Well, I would only say I'm not surprised because if the deal was going to get done this early in the season, it meant that Canadiens management stuck to their guns and sort of got their way. Now, if this deal waited until next summer to get done, Gino, it might have been a different story. I mean, this is the pressure point on both sides. The Habs really, really needed this done because they can't control other signings that keep happening around the league. And who knows what's coming down the pipe in the next 7 to 10 months as this salary cap landscape keeps going north in the NHL. It might have been harder and harder for the Habs to keep selling that cap culture and wanting to keep this number under 9 million. But again, on the other hand, you have Lane Hutson, who was feeling a lot of pressure, I think, to get this deal done. It was weighing on him. He'd be the first to tell you he didn't play his best hockey the first couple of games of the year. So that played into this getting done this early. But the bottom line is this. The Habs, to some degree, absolutely got a bargain here because with each passing day in the new NHL salary cap landscape, the number to me just goes up. But I'll tell you what's interesting. As much as the Luke Hughes and Jackson Lacombe deals at $9 million a year, timing-wise, were not ideal for the Canadiens as they tried to get Lane Hutson under $9 million a year. I'll tell you a signing that might have been beneficial is Connor McDavid and his great bargain for the Edmonton Oilers. And the point being, even though it's apples and oranges, Hutson's a player coming out of entry level. Connor McDavid's obviously would have been UFA in a year. The message that Connor McDavid sent to his team in wanting the Oilers to be as competitive as possible during this window, during this new extension, that was part of the message from Kent Hughes and Jeff Gordon to Lane Hutson and wanting their team to be as competitive as possible long term by perhaps leaving a bit of money on the table for the Canadiens. And that message obviously got through.
Okay, so Hudson's still just 21, rookie of the year last year. What's the feeling amongst the Hab management and maybe around the league? As you talk to a lot of GMs around the league, how long before we could be talking about him in the Norris conversation?
Yeah, I mean, listen, a spectacular rookie season as you can have. I think with every great young player, you wonder what's going to happen in year two. We call it the sophomore slump. I don't think anyone sees that happening for Lane Hutson, but you're always on guard for it. And so from that perspective, where does it go? I mean, listen, the Canadiens are so high on this young man. That's why they offered him 8 years. I mean, if they had any insecurities about where his defensive game was or his stature and so on, they wouldn't have offered 8 years. They would have said, let's do a bridge deal and see where his growth keeps going. No, the Canadiens wanted to do 8 years because they're sold 100% on his ascent as a young star in this league.
For perspective, as things stand right now, only Noah Dobson will make more money than Hutson next season, and he's only going to rank 17th among D-men right across the league.